All right. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, gamers. It's your favorite content creator on the internet, the one with a million billion fans. It's me, Chris Allen, yet again. So, this image right here, you might be familiar with it. You might not. Those of you who are, I wonder if you're sad as well. For those of you who aren't, this is an image from the game I just got finished playing about 10 minutes ago called What Remains of Edith Finch. And I kind of want to tell my thoughts about it and kind of give a little review of it. What do I think? Well, first of all, it's one of the games that I would kind of argue is a game, but not really a game. The term game is it's a wide term. It covers a lot, right? There's video games, there's physical games. You could have a game of, hey, I'm guessing a color. Can you pick the color? And then the other person guesses the color, and that's a game. There's games where you do physical stuff. There's video games where, there's puzzle games and stuff like that. I'm not saying this is one of those, but I'll explain what I mean regarding Edith Finch. This, to me, pushes the limits of what can be considered a game per se. I would actually call this an interactive experience. And then it goes into, well, again, what is a game? A game is where you can influence stuff, where you have control. I took a class in college once about video games and what they are. And we basically didn't really come to a hard conclusion or a hard definition of what a game is. Because in some games you can win, in some games you can lose. Some games you just play to play. Game is very hard to define. I would say this is a game, but it's more of an interactive story than anything else. There is gameplay here. You can't really fail it, although I found a way to somewhat struggle on some parts in this. If you remember the camera part, if you played it, then you'll know what I'm talking about. There was a part where you have to take pictures of stuff, and I, for the life of me, for a good 3 to 5 minutes, couldn't find what I was supposed to take a picture of. And that was just me being stupid. But regardless, even in an interactive story game, I can find a way to fuck it up. But regardless, this kind of, to me, pushes the limits of a game. Something like The Last of Us is often something I compare it to, where The Last of Us has good gameplay, albeit I think it's a little repetitive. I've never played it, but I've seen playthroughs of it. I think that is way more of a game than this is. And I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm just saying this is way more story-oriented, and if you actually want to play a game, you would do something else. This is more of an experience you kind of cruise through, and something you learn. This is very, very story-oriented. Not to say there's not things that involve gameplay in this. There's a couple. But in general, this pushes the limits of a game, and it's more of an interactive story. That being said, what is this? This is a fucking sad-ass story. I'm not going to spoil too much here, but wow, this fucking game made me sad. This whole thing just made me really, really fucking sad. What Remains of Edith Finch. After I finished it, in the 10 minutes before, I looked up stuff about it. I saw it was very highly rated. And I was like, holy shit, they really sucked this game off. It has a really, really good story. It's a fucked up story in my opinion. But in general, what it is, I'll give you guys a little rundown, is it's about a girl called Edith Finch going back to her house after a little bit of years, after a couple years, and basically her reliving or her finding out more about her family. At the baseline level, that's what it is. And her family basically, to spoil this tiny, tiny part, her family kind of thinks they have a curse. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not going to say what it does. All I'm going to say is a lot of stuff happens in this shit that's sad. Now, again, as an interactive experience, I can't really rate this gameplay side. There are gameplay moments. When you're going through some of the people's stories, it's very creative. You go through it through their perspective, and you see, and you do different things. There's different graphics, there's different styles. One is cel-shaded, one is you're doing two things at once. My favorite in particular was Lewis's story. Lewis's story in this game gripped me by the fucking cock and balls, and it said, yeah, this is basically you. And I felt very in tune with Lewis. Lewis, if you know me, he's basically shut in, has a job that he's pretty good at, doesn't really care about though, and eventually disconnects from reality, and things go down from there. But he's very into games, and unlike me, he's very into drugs. Although I wish I was. I wish that would take the edge off my mind. But I'm not into that stuff, and he is. But he's very similar to me out of everyone else I saw. But overall, his gameplay was very good because you're doing one thing, which is cutting fish, and you're doing a whole other thing of going through like a magical fantasy land at the same time. And it was really cool to see. They're very creative with what they do. Another one that really stood out to me that's like gameplay, two of them actually. One was with the daughter Molly, where you play as different animals because she's a child. She has an imagination, and you play as all these animals she's imagining, and eventually you even play as like a squid monster because she imagines herself as a monster. So it was very cool. Like there was actual gameplay elements in there. It's not hard at all. Again, I found a way to fuck it up, but it's not hard. Some of them are kind of boring. Some of them you literally just read. Like some of them are not really gameplay. There's no gameplay at all. But there are some that have interesting little gameplay tidbits, kind of like mini game sort of thing, but you can't really lose them. But overall, it's very creative. It's a very sad story, and it really got me sad, man. It was cheap, thankfully. It was like $6. It was on sale because I think Steam Summer Sale or 4th of July. I don't really know, but it was really cheap. It is a very short game, and just coming off of Cuphead, which was short too. I'm kind of sad I beat it in one day, although I'm glad because I can do other things, even though I'm questioning what I even do at all anymore. But overall, I liked it, but it got me so fucking sad, man. It really got me sad. Would I recommend this game to people? I would recommend this game to almost everyone. Ironically enough, maybe not to gamers. If you're looking for an actual game to play, this is not that. If you're looking to go through a decent story and you have to actually do some stuff in it and have a little bit of fun, yeah, I'd say this is for you. Overall, pretty good game. I don't think it should be sucked off as much as it should. I mean, it's really because the story hits home probably with a lot of people. It's a really good story. The sad stories that are really true and show you reality, those are the ones that generally do really well, and this is definitely one of those. But overall, pretty good experience. I'd probably give it maybe like an 8 out of 10. Just because it's short, it's condensed, it knows what it is. There are some parts where it's like a little boring. Again, some of the segments where there's not really a game, you just read things. I mean, they're okay. Some of them were boring, but I felt like overall it was pretty condensed, pretty good, especially with some of the creativity in some of the gaming parts. And one thing I'll put this into, two things. The music is very good, as well as just the general pacing of how they get you through the game. I thought this was going to be a game where you can make wrong decisions and you can miss things. But pretty much they lead you in a path where you can't really mess it up. It really is, at the end of the day, an interactive story that you just sit down and enjoy and most likely get sad of, although I'm not going to say anymore. That's my opinion of What Remains of Edith Finch. I pretty much liked it. If there's anything else that is cheap or free that you would like me to play, I will play it and I will review it. But please give me suggestions. Please, please, please. I love suggestions. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I'm out of here. Have a happy 4th of July, everyone.